uh, from coming out of Islam and coming into the faith in Jesus Christ, and things I've learned about the deity of Jesus Christ. And it's such a beautiful subject. I love talking about it. And today I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about something else that's kind of been on my mind lately. And it's the subject. If you can see my the label today, the name of this episode is The Diacritical Dilemma of the Quran. And يعني ممكن أقول أنا الموضوع اليوم راح يكون عن الكسرة تعرف النقط اللي بنحطه على الأحرف العربي، عشان في مشكلة في القرآن. وبتعرف هذول الأحرف، خليني أحطهم مشان تشوف إنه في أحرف زي بيقولوا الرسم بالإنجليزي the consonants، والنقط اللي بتحط عليها نقطة بتغير الحرف. Like these letters, these are like there's the consonants, but then when you put the diacritical marks, it changes the letter. For instance, if you look at the very top, and it doesn't look the same there, but it's the same letter, the very first two, the F and the kaf is what it's called. And it's what one has one dot. With one dot, it's F. With two dots, it's kaf. Then the one under it is sad and da. Dad. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But it's the same letter except for the dot. The dot changes it from a sad to a da. Like a S to a D. And then the one under it is the one that looks like a circle with a line on it. There's two of them. One of them has a dot, one doesn't. The one without the dot is ta, or like a T-U sound. And then but next to it with the dot, it becomes a the. And then the one underneath it is called the ayn. And the one without the dot is called the ayn, and the one with the dot on it is called the. And you know what? It might be easier if I just do this, because I've got some of these prepared here for you. Now you look at this one. This is the same essential shape. Okay, forget this one. If you look at the same essential shape, but what's different with these letters is that you put the dot where you put the dot, or dots. So if you put one dot underneath, now let's go from right to left. If you put one dot underneath, it's the letter B. If you put three dots on top, it's TH. If you put two dots on top, it's T. If you put one dot on top, it's noon or N. So you got B, TH, T, and N, noon. And so you got all these different letters, and the only difference, if you have it without these dots, you don't know which letter it is. But with the dots, you can tell what letter it is. Is it a B? Is it a TH? Is it a T? Is it an N? That's called diacritical marks. These dots that you put on are called diacritical marks. And this is a huge, huge problem for the Quran. This is a huge problem for the Quran. Excuse me. It's a huge problem because, like, for instance, I've been showing you lately that, I've got 3 Qur'ans, and they're different from each other. This is called the Jalalain. The Jalalain, and I should do a question. I do a multiple, not a multiple choice, just a question for any Muslim who can tell me this is called the Jalalain Quran. Who are the Jalalain? Who are the Jalalain? Now, if you're a good Muslim student of Islam, you should be able to tell me who the Jalalain are. Okay. Okay, we got then we got these 2 Qur'ans. We got the Hafs and the Warsh. These are the 2 most popular Qur'ans. Okay, one is called the Hafs and one is called the Warsh. And You know, the Hafs is the most famous one in the world. 97% of Muslims use the Hafs because this is the one that they print the most. But the Warsh is also very popular, and there's many others. There's like at least 37 Qur'ans, possibly hundreds of different Qur'ans. Uh, you know, and a lot of the problem, what differentiates, because the other day I showed you a list of the differences between these Qur'an, because there's like 1,300 differences between this Qur'an and this Qur'an. You know, the biggest, I only showed you like one difference. I showed you one difference on page 1, and it was the difference was is the word Malik Yawmiddin, Malik, you know, the Hafs says Malik Yawmiddin, which means owner of the day of judgment, whereas the Warsh says Malik Yawmiddin, which means king of the day of judgment, and which, you know, there's different meanings there. يعني المعاني اختلف، يعني في الفرق بين الحفظ والورش. اغلب الناس بيقرأوا الحفظ، يعني 97% في الناس في العالم عندهم الحفظ، لكن كمان موجود الورش وموجود كمان كثير، يعني مش بس هذول الاثنين. انا بس بفرجيكم هذول الاثنين، لكن في اكثر من هيك كمان. وفي كمان امتحان للمسلمين، مين بيقدر يقول لي مين هم الجلالين؟ عشان انا عندي قرآن الجلالين، هذه قرآن الجلالين، هذا احد من مئات القرآنات اللي موجودين، وفي الجلالين. مين بيقدر يقول لي مين هم الجلالين؟ اكتب لي اذا بتقدر في الفيسبوك في الكومنتس مين هم الجلالين. والمهم نرجع لموضوعنا، انه في النقط على الاحرف، بتشوف الحرف هي نفس الحرف الرسم. شايف اذا بتشوف مثلا في هذه الاحرف اللي على الشاشه الان، بتشوف في البيت تي اتش تا، وحرف التي مش عارف بالضبط بالعربي كيف بتقولوها بالابجد العربي، التي وبعدين النون. في الاربع احرف هم نفس الحرف نفس الرسم، لكن النقطه اللي بتختلف. النقطه تحت بتخليها بي زي بيت، وبعدين 3 نقط فوق تي اتش زي ثلاث، وبعدين اذا في نقطتين بتصير ت زي تين، وبعدين اذا في حرف واحده فوق بتكون نون، حرف النون. شايف؟ وحسب النقطه كم نقطه عليها بتعرف ايش الحرف. وهذه من اكبر المشاكل في القران. عشان اذا بتشوف الفرق انا راح افرجيكم كمان ان اغلب الاغلاط اللي في القرانات بين الاختلاف بين الحفظ والورش والسوسي والدوري والقانون وجلالين وكلهم، اغلب الاغلاط فيهم الاختلافات بينهم عشان هذه المشكله، وهي انه مش عارفين وين يحطوا النقطه. وخليني بس افرجيكم عشان هذه كانت مشكله كبيره. بس احكيكم بسرعه تاريخ القران. في البدايه اسف عشان بحكي عربي وبعدين بحكي انجليزي. I'm sorry, I'm talking Arabic and then I talk English. I'll try to speak Arabic and then translate into English as well. And you know, just a little history of the Quran. In the days of Muhammad, the Quran was not written down. In fact, there are some hadith that say that Muhammad did not want the Quran to be written down. People used to memorize it, and so they did not memorize it. So when Muhammad died, there was no written down Quran. ما كان في قرآن موجودة مكتوبة في لما مات محمد. لما مات محمد ما كان في قرآن مكتوبة زي كتاب هيك، ما كانش فيه، عشان كان يحفظوها. وكان في حفاظ، ناس اللي حفظوا القرآن. أكبرهم أبي بن كعب وعبد الله بن مسعود، هذول كان من أروع الحفاظ يعني. You know, there was no written Quran in the time of Muhammad. When he died, there was no written Quran. But then a few years later, the first caliph after Muhammad, everybody knows, Abu Bakr, there was a war called the Battle of Yamama. I know that's funny to say it in English, Yamama, but Anyway, it's called the Battle of Yamama. There was a battle, and the Muslims, Abu Bakr was fighting others, and in that battle, 70 of the Huffaz. Huffaz are those who memorize the Quran, who had memorized the entire Quran from the beginning to the end, whether it was 112 chapters or 114 or 116. There were different Qurans. There was different. We could talk about that sometime, about how many Qurans there were in the time of Muhammad, and Muhammad knew about that. But but there was 70 of the main memorizers of the Quran, the Hufaz, were killed in the Battle of Yamama. And then Abu Bakr, that he was the caliph, he's also the father of Aisha, the wife of Muhammad, who he married when she was 6 years old, had sex with her when she was 9. This is all in, I know some people get mad when I say that, but that's in the hadith. I can show you 4 times where it's written in the Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, that Aisha herself says, I was 6 years old when the Prophet married me, 9 years old when he had sex with me. That's what she says. So it's in your books. I'm sorry to say it, but you got to know who this man that you're entrusting your eternity to is. بعرف إن ما كانش في قرآن مكتوبة في أيام النبي محمد. لما مات ما كانش في مكتوبة قرآن زي هيك كتاب ولا لف يعني سكرول، ما كانش فيه. وكان في حرب، معركة اسمها معركة اليمامة، وفي هذه المعركة كان في 70 من الحفاظ اللي كانوا قبل يحفظوا القرآن، كانوا حافظينها، وكان في من 70 من حفاظ القرآن اللي ماتوا. ولما ماتوا الخليفة الأول هو أبو بكر. أبو بكر إذا بتعرفوا هو أبو مرت محمد، عائشة، اللي جوزها لما كان عمرها 6 سنين ودخل فيها وهي عمرها 9 سنين. ما تزعلوش مني، هذا مكتوب عندكم في صحيح البخاري، في صحيح مسلم. لازم تعرفوا الرجل اللي انتم واثقين فيه هذا جوز بنته وهي عمرها 6 سنين ودخل فيها وهي عمرها 9 سنين. هذا مكتوب في صحيح البخاري، مكتوب في صحيح مسلم. هذا مش موضوعنا، لكن أبو بكر كان أبوها. وبعد ما مات محمد كان في معركة اليمامة، وراح كان في المعركة وماتوا فيها 70 حفاظ. لما ماتوا 70 حفاظ أبو بكر قال لازم نكتب القرآن على ورقة، لازم نكتبها بحبر وورق. ليش؟ عشان ولا على الجلد، ولا كيف كانوا يكتبوا في هذاك الأيام، عشان الحفاظ بدأوا يموتوا، وإذا كل الحفاظ بيموتوا بيقولوا القرآن راح نضيع القرآن. عشان هيك بدأوا يكتبوا القرآن، وجابوا زيد بن ثابت، جابوا زيد بن ثابت وقالوا له يلا جمع القرآن من الحفاظ، جمع واكتبها. وهو بدأ يكتب، وكتبوا القرآن، وفي النهاية أعطوها لحفظة مرت محمد، وهي حطت القرآن 20 سنة تحت سريرها في بيتها القرآن. وتعرفوا حفظة هي بنت الخليفة الثاني عمر بن الخطاب. اوكي، وكانت القرآن عند حفظة. وبعدين بعد كم من سنة كان في قرآنات كثير موجودين، يعني زي الناس حافظينها. في سوريا كان في قرآنات، وفي العراق كان في قرآنات، وفي السعودية ما كانش في سعودية في هذاك الأيام، لكن وكان في مشكلة إنه كان في اختلافات بين القرآنات، وكان اللي في سوريا يقراها بطريق، واللي في العراق يقراها بطريق، وفي دمشق بطريق، وفي المدينة بطريق، وصارت مشكلة. وبعدين كان في الخليفة الثالث، بتعرفوا شو اسمه؟ مين بيعرف؟ عثمان قال إذا كل الناس بيقرأوا بطريق مختلف راح يصير مشاكل بين المسلمين، راح يصير حرب أهلي. عشان هيك لازم نكتب قرآن محترف، وقرآن اللي الكل بيعترف بيها. وشو سوى عثمان جمع القرآنات كلهم، مش كلهم يعني اللي في العالم، بس جمعهم. وقال عشان اللي بيختلفوا عن بعض، عشان كان في قرآنات مختلفة، تعرف سمعتوا عن ال7 أحرف و10 قراءات وكلهم بيختلفوا عن بعض، زي ما وريتكم هذول القرآنات بيختلفوا عن بعض. وشو سوى عثمان؟ حرقهم، عمل نار وحرق القرآنات المختلفة، وهو جمع قرآن جديد. هو عمل قرآن قرآنه تبعت عثمان، هذه مشهور جدا، كل الشيوخ بيعرفوا. اسأل روحوا اسأل. وتعرفوا وانا بحكي لكم هذه القصه وبعرف العربي خربان وكل شيء، لكن هذه موضوع مهم جدا. هي مهم عشان قالوا لنا في المدرسه، انا بعرف وفي منكم حيث في من اولاد عمي بيبعتوا لي وبيقولوا لي انت كذاب وانت كافر وانت وسخ وانت مش عارف راسك من رجليك بس بدي افرجيكم احد الرسائل عشان لسه بيبعتوا لي نفس الرسائل. بتوقع انهم يفتحوا عيونهم شوي ويعرفوا انه في مشكله في جمع القران، وفي القران الموجوده انه في اختلافات كثير بينهم. وتسالوا ليش في هالاختلافات؟ ما هم قالوا لنا في المدارس انه في قران واحد بس، في قران واحد بس. ليش في كل هالاختلافات؟ ليش في كل هالاختلاف بين القرآنات؟ هل أي وحدة في اللوح المحفوظ؟ ما هي مكتوب في القرآن في سورة 85 بتقول إنه القرآن هي من اللوح المحفوظ، والقرآن اللي بين يدينا هي اللي في اللوح المحفوظ. طيب أي وحدة في اللوح المحفوظ؟ الحفظ ولا الورش ولا السوسي ولا دوري والقرآن ولا السوسي الأول ولا السوسي الثاني ولا؟ من كثر ما في قرآنات مش عارفين أي واحدة في اللوح المحفوظ. وأنا بحكي لكم هيك بحكي لكم بسألكم هيك عشان أنا بعرف إنكم واثقين إنه القرآن اللي موجود بين ايدينا هي القرآن اللي اجت من محمد. هذا من ابن عمي حبيبي أنا بحبه، لكن هاي بعد كل الدروس اللي عملته وبعد كل القرآنات اللي وريتكم إياه وكل الاختلافات ما زال بيقول no proof needed, only one Quran. Go ask anyone in the world, only one Quran. This was a joke. There is only one. قد ما توريهم. وأنا عندي كمان رسائل ممكن أفرجيكم الثاني، بس بدي أفرجيكم إنه قد ما تحكي للمسلم تقول له انه في قرآنات كثير وفي اختلافات بينهم وبيختلفوا عن بعض ومش زي بعض وكذبوا علينا، قالوا لنا انه في واحدة وانه الله هو حافظها، احنا انزلنا الذكر واحنا اللي حافظون. You know that Allah in chapter 15 I believe في سورة 15:9 بتقول احنا نزلنا القرآن واحنا اللي حافظون. Yani where Allah says that He sent down the Quran in chapter 15, verse 9, and that He preserves it from error. And no matter how much you tell the Muslims, they still. Here's another one. This is my another cousin. I believe he's a cousin. All of you guys are my cousins. This is my cousin Farid, and look at what he says. So if the person is one of a million that hates Islam, I'm supposed to listen to him and what he says, and don't change the fact that me and 1.9 billion Muslims know that the Quran is one, and that not even one word is different, even though y'all explain it your way. The main topic, I've showed you. It's not just one word. It's thousands of words are different. Thousands of words are different between these different Qur'ans. How much I tell you, you guys don't listen. I showed you two of my cousins, and I've showed you the evidence. You know, it's like Islam controls the mind. It doesn't allow you to think. And today I'm going to show you المشكلة الكبيرة اللي كانت في المشكلة الكبيرة, the big problem that there was in the gathering of the Quran is that there was this difference. The difference of these different, like if I showed you this letter, if I showed you these, okay? If you look at the the basic letter, the consonant, for instance, the one that's on the far right, there's no dots on it. That's the letter S. The letter S, seen, seen. But if you look at the one right next to it, it has 3 dots on it. That makes it SH, she. SH, like she. So you got S and S. So the dot is what makes a difference. But let me just show you what it says about the issue of the dots in the time that, you know, Uthman was the one who burned all the Qur'ans. The Uthman was the 3rd caliph, Khalifa Thalith Uthman. He gathered the Qur'ans and he burned them. He burned the Qur'ans and he came up with his own, with another Qur'an. He also got Zayd ibn Thabit. Now, both of them like Zayd ibn Thabit. Zayd ibn Thabit had been a Jew who converted to Islam. And you know what? Some of the biggest Huffaz, you know, Ibn Mas'ud said, don't use Zayd ibn Thabit. We don't like his Qur'an. But, and Ibn Mas'ud is very important because Muhammad said that Ibn Mas'ud was the best of the Huffaz, the best of the memorizers. And yet he said he didn't trust Zayd ibn Thabit, but for some reason they wanted to use Zayd ibn Thabit. I don't know, could they control him? Or what was the reason that Uthman wanted Zayd ibn Thabit to write the Quran? But he's the one that compiled the Quran, Uthman's Quran. Now, you see, there was the first compilation that happened in the days of Abu Bakr, the first caliph. But then there was another compilation that happened in the days of Uthman. And when Uthman did his compilation to prevent civil war, because the Muslims in Iraq were reading differently from the Muslims in Syria, from the Muslims in Saudi Arabia. There was no Saudi Arabia at that time, but it was, that's what we recognize it as. It's like Mecca and Medina, you know, that there was different Qur'ans and there was about to be a civil war between them. And so somebody told Uthman, the caliph, they said to him, hey, dude, you know, well, you're going to become like the Jews and Christians who don't know their Bible. You know, and there's all these different Bibles and stuff. That's what they used to believe. They still believe that. But so he says, you need to write down the Quran and make it one standard Quran. And so that's what the Uthman did. He compiled and brought together and brought all the different Qurans, and he made one out of it. And he sent this one Quran to all the different provinces, you know, like to Damascus, to Basra, to Medina, you know, and these are the main Islamic centers. And he sent a copy of the Quran to each of these, of his Quran, of the Uthman Quran. And today, there's believed that the Quran of today is supposed to be the Uthmani Quran, the Quran of Uthman, the 3rd caliph. That's what the Quran of today is supposedly supposed to be. Okay. But the problem, okay, so they sent it to these different centers. Now, the problem is we can't find any of these. And I know some Muslims are going to say, oh, yes, we have them. We have them identical. And they found it in London and they found it. But we could talk about each one of those. There's so many problems with each of them. Here's another one. Okay, you see, this is the letter D. Now, with the dot, it becomes TH. It becomes the, like the, that. But without the dot, it's D. And so this is the big problem. And the problem with Uthman's Quran, let me just show you a picture of what Uthman's Quran looked like. Let me show you the picture of what Uthman's Quran looked like. This is the Quran without yeah, because I'm sure that, you know, if you've studied this subject, then you know you have seen the you've seen pictures of the manuscripts of the Uthmani or alleged Uthmani Quran, and that were sent out. Here's like some pictures of it. And one thing you notice is that there's no dots on it. There's no dots. Now, this is a huge problem. There's no dots on it. So what, is it an N? Is the letter an N? Is it a T? Is it a Y? Is it a TH? Is it a B? Is it a, because if you don't know have the dot, then you can't tell which letter it is. And see, in the days of the Uthmani Quran, they didn't used to use diacritical marks. They didn't used to use the dot, the N. So you kind of just have to read it from your instinct. You know, this is what it means. But the problem is that it changes the meaning of the word. And I'm going to show you that this problem was so huge that even today, when you look at the different Qur'ans, the many different Qur'ans, this is one of the biggest problems. It's not the biggest problem, but it's one of the biggest problems, is that they don't have the dots and the dashes, and so you can't tell if it's a T or it's an N, it's a Y. You don't know. So this is like the Uthmani Quran. Okay, this is like a picture of what it was. Look, there's no dots in it. Okay, just look at it for a little bit. I'm going to have a drink of coffee. And now I want to show you this. Now, this is from an Islamic website. And just to show you that this is not a small deal, this is a huge deal. And this is the number one, not number one, maybe it's number one of the biggest reasons why there's so many different Qur'ans. ليش في اختلافات؟ ليش في قرآنات كثير؟ هذه ممكن أكبر سبب ليش في اختلافات، عشان قرآن عثمان ما كانش فيها النقط، كانش فيها الضمة والفتحة والكسرة. ضمة فتحة وكسرة، يعني النقطة اللي فوق الحرف واللي تحت الحرف زي الث والتي اتش وهذول ما كانش فيه ما كانوش يستخدموهم في ايام عثمان، عشان هيك القرآن ما فيش فيها. بتعرف ايش اذا هي حرف البيت ولا النون ولا التين ولا، عشان كلهم بيختلفوا. لكن اذا بتشوف القرآن تبعتك اليوم الحفظ اذا عندك في البيت راح تشوف لا فيها نقطة وفي الحرف وفي الضمة والكسرة والفتحة، فيها موجودين في القرآن اليوم، لكن ما كانش موجود في قرآن عثمان. عشان هيك أنا بسألكم أي واحدة في اللوح المحفوظ؟ في مشكلة؟ أي واحدة في اللوح المحفوظ؟ You know, I'm asking in Arabic. I says, you know, if you look at your Quran today, they do have the kasra, the fatha, and the dhamma, or the dots and dashes. It has, and so, but they were not in Uthman's Quran. And my question is, which one is on the preserved tablet? Because chapter 85 of the Quran says that the Quran is from the preserved tablet. Exactly, and they told us in school. And I know for a lot of people, like especially from the West, you think, well, what's the big deal? It's just that in school we were told, and I showed you today, that every single letter, every dot, every word is exactly like it was in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. Every dot, every letter is from the Lawh al-Mahfuz. And yet we've got all these different Qur'ans. And they didn't have the dots and the dashes. And the Qur'an that Muslims have today is not the same as the Uthman Qur'an, because the Uthman Qur'an did not have dots and dashes. So which one is on the preserved tablet? The one with the dots and dashes or the one without it? You know, I don't care. It doesn't make a difference to me, but it makes a difference to you because you were taught in school, you're taught in the media, and you can tell from my cousin's comments, they still believe that this Quran is exactly what came down to Muhammad, and it's not. It's not the same. Because Uthman, even Uthman, the third caliph, who put together the Uthmani Quran, he did not use the kasra, the fatha, the dhamma, the dots on top or underneath. He didn't use it. And so if he didn't use it, then which one is on the preserved tablet up in heaven? The one with the dots or the one without? Does the Lawh al-Mahfuz up in heaven have the dots, or does it not have dots and dashes? Which one is on the preserved tablet? Which one is the eternal Quran? You know, because they're different. They are different. And so you need to answer this question. Which one is on the Lawh al-Mahfuz? And so anyway, I'm going to, and I've already showed you some of the differences between the Qur'ans. I'm going to show them to you again today, and you're going to see that this was a big deal. This is a very big deal, and that's why there's so many different Qur'ans today. You know, you got the Hafs, you got the Welsh, you got the Jalalain. You know, 3 different Qur'ans that I've got in my hands that I'm showing you, and they're different from each other, and they got differences. Malik Yawmiddin, Malik Yawmiddin, Qutil, Qatal, Qatala. And I'm going to show you some more differences today. But I wanted to read this to you. This is from a Muslim website. It says, during the early days of Islam, Arabic scripts had neither dots nor diacritics, as illustrated by Table 1. I don't have a picture, but I've showed you some of it. A word with neither of these typographic features had multiple meanings. Figuring out what it meant depended primarily on the Arab's intuition, memory, and the context. For instance, you could tell based on, somebody who understands the Arabic looks at it and he goes, oh yeah, that's a B because it's supposed to be house. Because for instance, if you take one of the consonantal forms, like three smiley faces, put them next to each other, it could be the word bait, which is house, because of the dots. Put one dot under the first, two dots on the second, two dots on the top of the third, and it comes the word bait, which means house. But if you put one dot on top instead of the two dots under, it becomes bint, which means girl. Or if you put three dots on one and then one on the second and two, and I know I'm talking fast, and it's thabbit, which means to establish. And if you put two dots on the first and two on the second and one on the third, it becomes teen, which means fig. And so you don't know if it means fig or girl or house or establish. And you can make like 5 or 6 different words just from that formation based on where you put the dots. And so the Arab can read in context and says, oh, he married and it's going to say, he doesn't see the dots, but he knows that it's going to be girl, bint, girl. It's not going to say he married a house, even though you could say he married a house and it has some symbolic meaning or metaphoric, or say it's an idiom, an Arabic idiom. And so, but based on the context, you can maybe determine what the word meant, or based on your intuition, you can determine what it meant, but it didn't have the letters. And so it's like not having the I's and T's, but it's more than that. In Arabic, it's more, because like 18 of the 24 Arabic letters need to have the dots in order to determine what the letter is. And so by the time of the 4th Caliphate, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, large influxes of non-Arabs embraced Islam. Due to the linguistic differences between their native languages and Arabic, mispronunciation became prevalent. Deemed hideous, mainly while reciting the Holy Quran, erroneous pronunciation had to be urgently repaired. So people who weren't Arabs started memorizing. Even the Arabs had problems. I mean, Muhammad, from the first day, he had problems, because that's why he came up with the Sab'a Ahruf. It's a funny story, read it. But, but then when Islam expanded and all these non-Arabic, the Iranians and the Turks and all these different were beginning to learn Arabic, Islam. But they didn't know about all these dots, and they didn't know so what does this mean? I mean, they were looking at the Uthmani text, and there was no dots on it, and so they couldn't tell, was it bint, was it bait, was it teen, was it tabbit, which word was it? Because they couldn't tell, because there was no dots on it. And so what they did, this is where, first of all, Uthman, compiled his Quran and, came up with this. And so what they decided to do is that they decided to come up with a system, because they didn't have a system, of the diacritical marks, the diacritical marks. And so they decided to put the dots and dashes, and they actually came up with it's almost humorous that you started using like color red and color green to determine the difference between the letters, and eventually they came down to diacritical marks, which is what the Arabs use today, which is the dot on top is the N, the 2 dots on top is a T, 1 dot underneath is a B, 2 dots underneath is a Y, 3 dots on top is a TH, 3 dots under, that's not really Arabic letter, but they use that today for like the letter P, because there's no P in Arabic. And so the letter P, like petroleum jelly or something, they will use that for P. But that they came up with that, but it doesn't really exist in Arabic. But so you got all of these different letters. You got this problem here. And but that's one of the problems. That's one of the reasons we got so many different Qur'ans today, is because they didn't know where to put these dots. And so they got different words. And that's why today, when you read the 2 biggies, and there's many more, but these are the 2 biggies, Hafs and Warsh, you're going to find that there's different letters in them. إنه في أحرف مختلف. كلام مختلف. ليش؟ عشان الأحرف وين حطوا النقطة. هل هي T؟ هل هي B؟ هل هي نون؟ هل هي Y؟ يا مش عارف. الأسس أسامي الأحرف الأبجد العربي. لكن راح أفرجيكم الاختلافات، وراح تشوفوا إن المشكلة كانت موضوع النقط هذول. I'm going to show you the differences, and you're going to see that that was the main reason for not the main reason, it may be the main reason, but one of the main reasons for the differences in the Quran. And I'm going to show you, let's go ahead and show you some examples now. Okay. In the Quran, chapter 2, verse 85. هذا في القرآن سورة البقرة. سورة البقرة آية 95. سورة البقرة سورة آية 95. شو مكتوب؟ يعملون. في الحفظ في الورش مكتوب تعلمون. بتشوف الحرف، بتشوف انه الرسم زي بعض، هي نفس الرسم. يعملون تعملون، هي نفس الرسم، بس الاختلاف النقط. You see that if you look at this picture, if you look at the consonantal form, yeah, well, the top one is يعملون, which means they are making, and the one underneath is تعملون, which is you are making. تعملون, you are making, they are making. And what the only difference between these two words, one is in the hafz, one is in the warsh. The only difference is where are the dots on the very first letter. Now, Arabic starts from right to left. So if you're American, you're looking from the left to the right. No, it starts from the right to the left. And so the first letter is the one that's on the right. And it says, yeah, the top word is ya'amilun, which means they are making. But the word underneath is ta'amilun, which is you are making. So does it change them? Look, the only difference is the two dots on the bottom, at the top, on the top word. The two dots on the first letter are underneath, which makes it ya, the Y, ya'amilun. While under the word on the bottom, which is ta'amilun, which is to make. Ta'amilun, you are making. They are making, you are making. They are making, you are making. وهذه واحدة في الحفظ يعملون، في الورش تعملون. That not only changes the script. Now my cousin Farid said not one word has changed, and my cousin Joseph said, no, there's not one word changed. The Quran. Here's the very first. I already showed you that, and the first one is in the Surah Al-Fatiha. Malik and Malik, Yawm ad-Din. I mean, the differences are so obvious. But here, it's the same consonantal form. Because if you look at the script, it's exactly the same. The only difference is the dots. This is the diacritical dilemma of the Quran. That when Uthman sent it out, it didn't have the dots. They had to add the dots later on because people didn't know what to make of these words because it didn't make sense. And so they started adding dots to make the words, to identify which letters they were. They didn't know the letters. It's called the Fatha, the Kasra, and the Dhamma. These are the different kinds of dots that they use in the Arabic language. But the problem is they put them in different places. And so one of them says ya'malun, they are making, and the one underneath says ta'amalun, which is you are making. Now, does that mean the same thing? Does that mean the same thing? Does they are making mean the same as you are making? Now, it's the exact same script, cursive, and everything's the same except for the dots. And that's where the problem is. This is in chapter 2, verse 85 of the Quran. You see? And I'm sorry, my cousin Farid, I love you. I appreciate it. I want you to come on because I want you to debate me. I want you to come on because I want you to debate me. Okay, now this is in the Quran, chapter 3, verse 83. And believe me, I could sit here for 3, 4 hours, 5, 6 hours to show you differences between the two Qur'ans based on just the diacritical mark. I could sit here for 3 hours to show you. I don't have time to do that. I'm just going to show you some of them just to show you that, you know, what you said, Farid, is not true. When you said the Qur'ans are exactly the same and you kuffar, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to know, are you trusting? They lied to you. They lied to me. They lied to us. And they were lied to. The reason they lied is because they were lied to. When they were told the Quran is identical, they changed the Bible, they changed the gospel, but they could not change the Quran. It's exactly what's in the Lawh al-Mahfuz. When they told you that, they lied to you. They lied to me. Okay, here, this is from chapter 3, verse 85 of the Quran. Chapter 3, verse 85 of the Quran. It says, Tarja'un, the top one. Again, it's going from right to left. It's Tarja'un, which means you return. You return. Tarja'un means you return. This is the top one. Tarja'un, you return. But the one underneath, you see, the only difference between these two words, one is in the Hafs, one's in the Warsh, is yarja'un, which is they return. The top one, tarja'un, you return. The one that's underneath, yarja'un, you return. And if you look at this, it's the same consonantal form. The consonants are the same. Look at the, I know it's, I mean, if you look at it, it looks like a scribble, you know, what are you talking about? If you don't know the Arabic, it's going to be very difficult. But if you look at the consonants, you know, the main script, you know, it's exactly the same. In these two Qur'ans, they're exactly the same. The only difference is the diacritical marks. And that's the dots on the very first letter, which is the one that's on the far right. In the Hafs, it's tarja'un, but in the Warsh, it's yarja'un. One means tarja'un is you return. The one that's underneath is yarja'un, is they return. Now, does you return and they return mean the same thing? Does they return and you return mean the same thing? Because they're going to say, oh, the meaning is the same. No, the meaning is not the same. These dots change the meaning of the word. Not only does it change the form that's not on the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the meaning is changed. It has a different meaning. Which one is on the preserved tablet? Which one is the word of Allah? Which one is in the Lawh al-Mahfuz? Because they're different from each other. They're different from each other. This is from the Hafs and the Warsh. These are just two of the Qur'ans. When you start bringing in the other Qur'ans, you're getting into the hundreds of thousands of differences. Lakin, we're just looking at the Hafs and the Warsh, which has about 1,300 differences that we know of. And I'm showing you some of the difference, and it's because of the diacritical dilemma of the Qur'an. Diacritical meaning the dots. The dots. This is based on the dots. Tarja'un, yarja'un. Excuse me 1 second. I just got to take this phone call. Hey, bro. How are you, man?
Good. Are you here at Del Taco?
Oh, you know what, man? I'm still doing my video. I haven't finished my video. I just need about 15 more minutes, and then I'll come, man. I'm sorry, man. I started doing this, and it just took a little bit longer than I expected.
Okay.
Okay, can I
buy some stuff
Okay.
and take it over to the park, and then we meet under that same tree?
Okay, how about, would it be possible for you to come to my house?
Yeah, are you at your house?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So you're on Acacia,
True.
and what?
Here. Let me just, I want to, just 1 second here. 1204 Acacia.
Okay, and what should I order for you?
I'll take the number 6 meal.
Number 6, okay.
Okay. Thank you, man.
Okay.
Sorry about this. It's taking longer than I thought, man.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, see you soon.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. Sorry about that. My friend was bringing lunch. So, okay. All right. I'm showing you the differences between the different Qur'ans. Okay. Now let me show you some more. And you know what? You guys, the only reason this is a problem, and I almost didn't want to do this except for I got 2 messages, and I've already done so many videos about this subject, and yet my cousins are still telling me, no, there's only one Quran, it's impossible to change, which is exactly what we were taught. And people don't change easily. And so even, no matter how much evidence I show you, uh, you still are saying the same thing. And, you know, and so I'm showing you these are differences between the Hafs and the Welsh, and it's all because of the diacritical marks, the diacritical dilemma of the Quran. This is a huge, 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 to quote Trump, problem. It's a huge problem. Joe Biden might not say it, but Trump would tell you the truth. This is a huge problem. The diacritical dilemma of the Quran. They lied to you. They told you that it's exactly the same. Every dot, every nukta, everything is the Quran. The Injil has been changed. The Torah has been changed, but the Quran cannot be changed. Well, I'm showing you that it has been changed. There's the 3 Qurans: Hafs, Warsh, Jalalain, and then look at this. Look at these different words. Now this is from chapter 3, verse. I didn't even, I forgot where I got this difference. This is one of the words. Let me just, I should show you exactly where this came from, where in the Quran this is, where this is mawjuda, the Quran. I want to get the right unwan, the right address to tell you where you could find this. Okay, this is in chapter 10, and I should ask Muslims if you're watching. Chapter 10, verse 45. What is chapter 10 of the Quran? Okay, Muslims, what is chapter 10 of the Quran? You should know this. This is a test. If you know it, write it down in the comments section right now. Another imtihan, and I bet you don't know it. You know the number 1 Quran chapter, which is Al-Fatiha. That's it. And maybe Surah Al-Baqarah, because it's so big. It's the biggest one. You have a big surah of it, like my family does, in the living room of it, Surah Al-Baqarah, which is 285 verses. But this is chapter 10 is Surah Yunus. Yunus is the Arabic or the Muslim of Jonah, the prophet Jonah, who was swallowed by the fish, the whale. So anyway, this is chapter 10, verse 45. And it says, Nahshurhum. If you look at the top word, this is the Hafs. Nahshurhum. And nahshurhum, and if you look at these, the consonant is exactly the same. The consonant is exactly the same. Nahshurhum, and underneath yahshurhum. With the 1 dot, it's nahshurhum, which means we restrain them. We restrain them. Nahshurhum. But if you look at the one underneath, it's yahshurhum, which means he restrains them. One is we restrain, one is he or they restrain. I'm sorry, he restrains. So is it nahshurhum or yahshurhum? The only difference is the first letter. The first letter, is it an N or is it a Y? And the reason there's this confusion is because they didn't use diacritical marks in the time of Uthman, so they got the consonants the same, but the diacritical marks are different. So the top one is we with the dot on top, it becomes we constrain them. But with the dots underneath, the 2 dots underneath, means we restrain them. So does that mean the same thing? We restrain them and they restrain them? The meaning is changed. The whole meaning of the verse is changed because it goes from nahshurhum, we restrain them, to yahshurhum, he restrains them. It changes the whole meaning. 1 single dot. This is the diacritical dilemma of the Quran. Okay, let me show you another one. راح أوريكم كمان واحدة. هل الكلمة نحشرهم زي يحشرهم؟ في الحفظ مكتوب نحشرهم، في الورش مكتوب يحشرهم. هل الكلمة نحشرهم نفس يحشرهم؟ نحشرهم بتعني احنا بنحشرهم. يحشرهم بتعني هو بيحشرهم. لا، هل المعنى نفس الشيء؟ بيعانوا نفس الشيء؟ المعنى نفس الشيء؟ عشان دائما بيقولوا لي ممكن في اختلاف بين القرآنات لكن المعنى نفس الشيء. لا، مش نفس الشيء. هذا في سورة يونس 45. هذا ما بتعني نفس الشيء. نحشرهم ويحشرهم. وايش الفرق بينهم؟ الفرق هي النقطة بس. النقطة اللي فوق لما حطوا الفتحة والكسرة والضمة حطوا النقطة في أول حرف نون، نحشرهم. لكن اللي في الورش بتقول يحشرهم، هو بيحشرهم، نحن نحشرهم. هل في هذا نفس المعنى؟ لا، المعنى اختلفت. نحشرهم يحشر. ما بتشوف الرسم نفس الشيء، زي ما قال عثمان، ها يا عثمان، ها الرسمة نفس الشيء بين هذه وهذه. المشكلة النقطة، الفتحة والكسرة والضمة، إنه حطوا لما أجوا يحطوا النقط، حطوا نقطة واحدة فوق النون نحشرهم، حطوا نقطتين تحت الواي يحشرهم، وهيك غيرت المعنى. هذا في سورة يونس 45. عشان هيك بتشوف في قرآنات مختلفة وفي أحرف مختلفة بينهم. أي واحدة سؤالي يا مسلمين، أي واحدة في اللوح المحفوظ، أي واحدة في اللوح المحفوظ. أكيد خلينا نشوف. هذه من سورة النساء، هذه من سورة النساء أصحاح 4. Now this next one is from Surah of the Women, chapter 4 of the Quran. Okay? This next one is in chapter 4 of Surah An-Nisa is what it's called. Let me see the verse so I not be accused. Okay, chapter 4, verse 14. Chapter 4, verse 14. Surah Arba, Surah An-Nisa 4 14. 4 14. أنا مش جايب كل الآية بس عشان راح تأخذني سنة ونص إذا جبت الآية كلها مشان أشرح بالإنجليزي شو معنى الآية، ومش عشان هيك بس بدي استخدم الكلمه وانتوا ارجعوا افتحوا القران وانتوا اقرأوا شوفوا شو معنى اذا بتغير المعاني، اذا المعاني بتغير. Okay, I'm not bringing the whole verses because it's going to take me a year and a half if I bring the whole verse and explain to you what the verse means. That's why I'm only showing you the words. But you can go back and look at these verses in the Quran and see the differences between the Hafs and the Warsh. And again, I just want to show it to you so that you look at it. These are the two different Qur'ans, and I got 3. I also got the Jalalain. This is the Hafs and the Warsh. The differences I'm showing you are between the Hafs and the Warsh. Okay? Now, this is from chapter 4, verse 14. Chapter 4 is Surah An-Nisa, Surah of the Women, verse 14. If you look at the top, and now, first of all, look at the consonant. The consonants are the same. They're identical. 414 is the same in the Hafs and the Warsh. They're identical, except for the diacritical marks. The diacritical marks are different. On the top one, again going from right to left, it starts nudkhila, nudkhila, nudkhiluhu, nudkhiluhu. We enter. Nu with the noon, it becomes with the n, the dot on top, nudkhiluhu. We enter. But if you put it, the 2 dots underneath, if you look at the one on the bottom, it has 2 dots underneath instead of the 1 dot on top. Everything's the same except for where they put those dots. And the dot on top means nudkhilahu, meaning we enter. But on the bottom, it's yudkhilahu, meaning they enter. We enter, they enter. And the difference is the diacritical marks. And this is the diacritical dilemma of the Quran. There's hundreds of these. Hundreds and hundreds of these differences between the Hafs Quran and the Warsh Quran. Which one is right? Which one did did Jibreel bring to Muhammad? Which one did Jibreel bring to Muhammad? Because you know what I know what my cousins are going to say. They're going to say, oh, you don't know the Sab'a Ahruf, you don't know the... Yeah, Ammi, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. You know, you're saying, you know, the explanation that Muslims always use is that there's the Sab'a Ahruf, the 7 modes, the 7 Ahruf. That's the popular explanation. But the problem is, all that was supposed to be was the 7 dialects of the Arabians. The 7 dialects of the Arab, the Tamimi and the Qurayshi and all those different dialects. That's what the Sab'a Ahruf is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like the way we talk versus the way the British talk English versus the way the Irish talk English versus the way the Australians talk English versus the way the New Zealanders talk English versus the way the Texans talk English versus the way the Georgians talk English versus the way Californians talk English. I mean, just it's the same words, the same letters and everything. The only difference is the pronunciation is different because according to geographical areas, Californians talk English different than the Georgia, different than Texas, different than Boston. Even in America, there's several different dialects, and that's what they're saying about the 7 ahruf, the 7 dialects. But the problem is that what I'm showing you isn't about sab'a ahruf. It's about different meanings. The meanings of the word are changing because of the diacritical marks, because they didn't have diacritical marks in the time of Uthman. This is the 3rd caliph. In the time of the 3rd caliph, they did not have diacritical marks. And so the Uthmani Quran that every boasts, oh, we have the Uthmani Quran. You know what? You have problems even if you just dealing with, even if you have the real Uthmani Quran, you already have problems. Because you've already diverted, diverted from the original Quran that supposedly came from Jibreel to Muhammad, because it's already turned into 7, it's already turned into 31, it's already, in the days of Muhammad, there were 31 Qur'ans, Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abdullah, Ibn Ka'b, and all the different Qur'ans. There were 31 in the days of Muhammad. Before, and then, you know, when Uthman started burning the Qur'ans, when Uthman wanted to just get one standard Qur'an, you know what? The #1 reciter of Muhammad, Ibn Mas'ud, he had his Qur'an. You know, he told people, he says, don't give your Qur'an to Uthman. Keep your Qur'an. Don't give it to. So Uthman did not burn all the Qur'ans. He did not get all of the Qur'ans. There are so many different ones. And now today, that's why we have hundreds today. Well, we you know, there's a girl named Hatun Tash in London, and she's ex-Muslim too, and she has like 37. But there's more. Every day they come up with more. Another one, you know. And you can buy these in the souk. You can go to the souk and buy them. You know, this was in Morocco that they bought, and Libya, and all these Quran marks, and they're all different. They all have different. And this is the #1 cause. I don't know if this is the #1, but this is a huge problem. Is the diacritical marks. These Qurans are different. These words are different. Let me show you some more differences. And you know, some people are saying, would you just shut up, Steve? Would you please? You're causing us headaches and everything. The thing is you still trust this man Muhammad, and and you're trusting him. And then when you go to Judgment Day, God's gonna say, how could you trust this man who married a 6-year-old girl? How can you trust this man with your eternal soul? And then they lied to you. And okay, this is chapter 12, verse 9. Chapter 12 of the Quran, verse 9. Here's another, and it's again, the reason I'm showing you these is because they're all the identical consonants, but different vowels, different diacritical marks. And those different diacritical marks means there's a different meaning in the word. And now if you look at these two, one is in the top one is in the Hafs, the bottom one is in the Warsh. Okay, this is chapter 12, verse 9 of the Quran. And if you look, the consonant is exactly the same. The consonant is exactly the same. You can see it's like that. You know, if you know the Arabic, it goes like that. It goes from right to left. Remember, the Arabic goes right to left. You see the consonants are identical. On the top one and the bottom of the consonants are identical. But the only problem, the only difference is the dot. Look at the top one, and there's 2 dots underneath the first letter on the right. 2 dots underneath the first letter. Look at the bottom one. There's 1 dot on top. You know what that means? The word is yuha in Arabic. Yuha. Yuha on the top one means we inspire. Yuha. No, I'm sorry. He inspired. Yuha. Yuha means he inspired, or he reveals. He inspired, or he reveals. But the one that's underneath says Nuha. It has that dot on top. It changes it from a Y to an N. Nuha. And that means we reveal. So the top one is he reveals. The bottom one is we reveal. He reveals, we reveals. We reveal. Which one is right? Which one is in the preserved tablet? Which one did Jibreel bring to Muhammad? Because because the meaning is different here. One yuha is they reveal, or he reveals. Nuha is we reveal. Which one is in the Lawh al-Mahfuz? Which one is in the preserved tablet? And don't, Farid, come and tell me every dot, every symbol is the same. They're different. Not only are they different, the meaning is different. Diacritical dilemma of the Quran. This is a huge dilemma. Nuha, yuha. Yuha means yuha. They reveal, or he reveals. The bottom, nuha, we reveal. The meaning is different. The meaning is different. They lied to us. They told us every letter, every dot, everything. The gospel has been changed, the Torah has been changed, but nobody can change the Quran. Here, I'm just showing you two Qur'ans. I'm showing you two Qur'ans, and the difference is just in the between the Hafs and the Warsh. Oops, one thing I keep doing is I keep forgetting to, I'm getting old. شايف أنا ختيار يعني بنسى كل شيء. Okay. خليني أفرجيكم اللي بعدها. هذه من سورة 15:8. هذه 15:8. Okay, this is in chapter 15. Chapter 15, verse 8. And you know what's funny about this one? You know what's funny about this? You know what's funny about this particular verse? There's something funny about this. في شيء بيضحك عن هذه الآية. اللي بيضحك إن هي قبل آية 15:9. هذه 15:8. اللي بيضحك إنه 15:9 بتقول إحنا أنزلنا الذكر وإحنا لحافظون. هذه الآية اللي المسلم مبني كل إيمانه في القرآن عليها، إنها الله نزلها والله بيحفظها، من 15:9 هذه الآية. لكن شوف 15:8 الآية اللي قبلها. Okay, what's funny about this verse is chapter 15, verse 9 is the verse that all Muslims use to defend the eternal preservation of the Quran. The verse that every Muslim knows that says that Allah says, we sent down the Quran and we preserve it. It's a Muslim faith in the preservation of the Quran, eternal, perfect preservation of the Quran from 1400 years is chapter 15, verse 9, which is we sent down the Quran and we preserve it. Well, this mistake is in the verse right before it. It's this contradiction. And I like to use the word the contradiction because the Quran says that if the Quran was from somebody other than Allah, you'd find many contradictions in it. Well, this is one of the contradictions, and it's full of contradictions. Okay, these are the differences. On the top one is the Hafs, the bottom one is the Warsh. And if you look at the consonants, they're identical. They're identical. Perfect preservation. They're identical. The Hafs and the Warsh are identical. But the difference is in the diacritical marks. The diacritical mark. And look, the top one, the Hafs says, Ma tanzalu. Ma tanzalu. Don't send down. The one under is Ma nanzalu. We did not send down. Top one is Ma tinzalu. Don't send down, don't go down. The bottom one is ma nanzalu. We did not send down. So don't, one is a command, ma tanzilu, don't go down, didn't send down, don't send down. The bottom one is we did not send down. Look at chapter 15, verse 8 of the Quran. Let's go ahead and look at it, just because this is a little bit confusing. I want to look at what it says, because this one's a little bit confusing, but I want to show you how it completely changes the meaning. It completely changes the meaning when there's one little dot changes the meaning completely. It's Surah Al-Hijr, Surah Al-Hijr, and let me go ahead and bring it for you, just so that you can see what it says. Now, the one that I'm going to bring you is the Hafs version, and I'll show you the difference. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring it because I want to show it to you just like it is, so that you don't say that I'm just making stuff up, you know. And I know some of you think that I'm just making this stuff up, but I'm sorry, I'm bringing you all this proof because I want you to see that they lied to us. They told us the Quran is perfectly preserved, nobody can change it. They changed the gospel, they changed the Torah. To this day, they're telling us the same thing. But you know, okay, you know what? I have it in English here, so I'm going to go ahead and do it in English. I have it in Arabic too, but I think it'd be easier maybe if I do it in English, because I know English better than Arabic. It says, we do not send down the angels except with truth. Ma nunzil. We do not send down angel except with the truth. This is what chapter 15 verse 8 of the Quran says. We do not send down angels except with truth, and the disbelievers would not then be, okay? Excuse me a second. Hello, brother. Yes. Just 1 second. I'll be right. I'll finish this up here. Okay. It says, "We do not send down angels except with truth, and the disbelievers would not then be reprieved." But the other one says, okay, manunzil, matunzil. The angels do not come down except with truth. One is we don't send down. Then the other one is just the angels do not come down. So there you're talking about God's involvement in sending down the angels. So the meaning is different. And you see that the words, the consonants are identical. The only difference is the diacritical marks. And you see from the top one to the bottom one. There's over 1,300 of these differences between the Hafs and the Warsh. Can you trust this book? They told us it is identical, that Allah sent it down. It's perfectly preserved. They changed the gospel, they changed the Torah, but they cannot change the Quran because of chapter 15, verse 9. Well, here's chapter 15, verse 8, and there's differences in them between the Hafs and the Warsh. How can you trust this book? If they lied to you about this, what else did they lie to you about? Let me tell you what else they lied to you about. They lied to you about chapter 4, verse 157, that says they did not crucify him, they did not kill him, he was made to appear so to them. إِذَا كَذَبُوا عَلَيْكُمْ عَنْ هَذَا عَنْ إِيش كَمَانْ كَذَبُوا عَلَيْكُمْ كَذَبُوا عَلَيْكُمْ عَنْ مَا صَلَبُوا مَا قَتَلُوا لَكَنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. Trust in Jesus. He is the Son of God. He loves you. I love you. Don't be angry with me. Ask God, because your eternal soul depends on you knowing these things. God loves you. I love you. ربنا معكم. شكرا.